social interactions can be a challenge, especially when you're small and the world around you seems big. And for children, that can sometimes be the case. So to break this down even further, we're talking to Derek Shyness from Red Door Pediatric Therapy to discuss social communication disorder. Good morning to you, Derek.
Good morning, Heidi.
Good morning. So let's get this all started here with the definition of social communication disorder. So what exactly is it?
Okay, a social communication disorder is where a child is having difficulty interpreting and using language both verbally and non-verbally. So this can impact a child's ability to be successful in groups, build and maintain relationships, and understand others' thoughts and feelings.
Especially because communication is really important as you get older and older, and even as from a young age, really, as soon as they're right out of the womb, I think that's important. So having said all of that, does your child have the tendency to avoid interaction with others? Is that a thing?
So with the avoiding interacting with others, what we try to look at is your child able to understand how to even greet another individual? So are they able to get waving, say hello while establishing good eye contact? So with that being said, another piece of interacting is, are they able to ask for help? So once they establish that hello, now we move to in the environment at school and home. If your child is at home downstairs and you have a sink and it starts overflowing with water, do they know to reach and shut it off right away? Or if it doesn't work, to come up and get you? So we look at that with at home, and then at the school environment, is your child aware if they're having difficulties that I raise my hand to get help, or I need to go up to the teacher's desk? Because with these social communication disorders, we see that a child is not even aware of how to initiate the helping or initiate that hello to start talking with other people.
Does that come down to the child's shyness in a way?
Okay, so that's kind of the where the underlying things differ. So if it's just from shyness, that can be not where we'd be too concerned about it being a social communication disorder. But then if we're noticing that our child is wanting to introduce themselves to new kids, but they don't know how, they don't know the words to use, then that's more of something where we'd want them to come in and get evaluated.
Okay, I'm glad I asked that question because that kind of narrowed it down a little bit more for me too.
Yes,
So,
that was a really good point.
yeah, no, there is a difference. Okay, so does your child understand now that others also have thoughts and feelings? Is that another thing that we have to bring attention to?
Okay, so that is a big piece with social communication. So the differentiating between thoughts and feelings is, say that your child either broke their toy or is at school age and had a bad test and now they're in a bad mood and they have to move on to something new. They need to be able to understand that those new kids that they're hanging out with didn't have that bad test or that broken toy, so they're not going to be as angry as we are. So that is the way of, are these kids able to, okay, this happened to me, but now I need to be able to decompress and move on to something else.
Okay, that makes sense too. And then does this come with, how does your child read between the lines, or do they read between the lines?
Yeah, because so then it kind of goes into that reading between the lines piece. And like I said from the start, this is more that nonverbal piece. So, like I said, the verbal is expressing yourself, asking for help, asking for clarifications and stuff. Now we get into, are they understanding the way your eyes can look? Where if we're scrunched up and our nose is scrunched up, we're angry. Or if we're wide eyed and our mouth's open, we're surprised. If we're closed and our head's down, we're having a sad posture. So those are different nonverbal things that we look at if kids can interpret. But then we also get into kind of more complex, and we look at humor and sarcasm. So if they're being made fun of versus someone's telling a joke, can they tell the difference? And then sarcasm, if someone at the lunch table goes, "Oh man, I love these vegetables," can they tell that that person's joking and not he really doesn't love them? So those are those are a little older. We start at Red Door evaluating for social language at 3 years old, all the way up to 18.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. At what age do you start to notice this, and is this treatable and so forth?
Yep. So, yep, the biggest thing is we start an evaluation. You can come in for a screening or you can come in for an evaluation. It's usually about 2.5 hours. And we start those packages at 3 years old. And like I said, it shifts a little bit to the different areas once they hit that school age range. But we are able to get them in at that 3 year old age.
Derek, I have one more question for you here. Is this something that is like there's something in a child's life that causes this social communication disorder, or is it just kind of as the child develops?
I don't think there's one underlying factor that we're seeing that causes this disorder. It is kind of as your child develops, and social isn't something you usually think of with speech because it's more, the stuttering or your tough speech sounds. So it's kind of hard to get a read until your kid does start interacting at daycare or at school for those social skills. So my biggest thing would be is those points I made in the beginning, where if your child seems to be avoiding interactions because they don't know how versus just being more shy, then that's a big factor of maybe there's some underlying things occurring.
I love that. Thank you so much for that explanation. Derek, where can we find more about Red Door Pediatric Therapy?
Well, you can always find us at reddoorpediatric.com online. And then we also have our phone number at 222-3175. And then we have locations in Bismarck, Minot, Grand Forks, and a new location that just opened in Beulah now.
We love that. All right, easy enough. 4 locations there.
North Dakota.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Derek, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Have a great day.
You as well. All right, we're going to take a short break here. Stay with us on North Dakota Today. We have so much more coming up.